I realize that for many New Yorkers and many Americans, they make the intellectual thing in their head, you know what? It doesn't affect me all that much. Someone getting a right somewhere else doesn't do anything to diminish my marriage here in Glendale. It doesn't do anything to minimize my ability to raise children here in Maspeth or Middle Village or in these other conservative enclaves, for people who might definitely disagree with my position. But I realize that more elected officials probably don't know that. That they don't make the connection that, you know what, even if people might disagree with you on the issue, they fundamentally honor you for defending someone's rights and trying to expand them. And I think the more that we have my colleagues in government, and this isn't so much an issue in New York, you know, we look to our left and look to our right and see people who are great on our issues. And we, to some degree, become sanguine that that's the case all around. Well, many of us who have colleagues in other parts of the country realize the very things that we take for granted are not so easily understood. This is a good time, in the context of a presidential campaign, for us to lean into these issues a little bit more. I think to some degree they should be talked about a lot more, and I think to some degree they should be talked about a lot more, even in places that you don't have big GLBT communities. Finally, I want to talk very briefly about the direction I think the presidential campaign is going, and why I think that we are once again at the precipice of making an extraordinarily important decision. You know, it seems like every 4 years we say, this time we really have to get it right. Well, this time we really have to get it right. And I think that so far, despite the back and forth that's going on among some in the media, this has been a fairly tepid primary campaign. I don't think that anyone has gone above the pale. I think there have been some supporters of the two campaigns that have gotten a little bit perhaps outside the bounds of what we like. But this has been a hard-fought, fair campaign that has actually come down on some policy differences that they have and some questions that we ask as insiders about who would be the best person to be elected. I think Barack Obama is extraordinary. I think he's a man of extraordinary political skills. I think he is someone that has taken our country to a place that frankly it hasn't been in some cases. I think his speech last week on race was an extraordinary one. All of those things being said, I think that at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton has a wealth and a base of experience that I think makes her a better candidate this year. And I think that to some degree, we who support Hillary misunderstand how badly the American people and Democrats in particular want to be lifted up. Part of what Barack Obama is communicating is how we've been let down so badly by the way we've had a national conversation over the last 7 years. You know, FDR, in his famous fireside chats and his For Freedom speech, you know, he would always have a very honest take. You know, you can read them, you can even listen to some of them. You can listen to, he didn't speak to us like we were children. He would tell us, for example, how badly things were going in the war when trying to explain to us the rationale for why we needed to sacrifice more. He would always ask us to rise to a different place. President Bush does the opposite. President Bush dumbs it down to the point where I can't tell, maybe those little 3- and 4-word phrases that he utters, that might be the full depth of his understanding. Like, I swear sometimes I think he takes the summary lines of the speech and he reads them and then moves to the next summary line, like, you know, economy strong, you know, steady hand, mustn't panic, like the things that most of us see as like the jumping off place for actual substance. I don't think that that's his whole structure. We now hear Barack Obama speaking in these terms that really do lift us up. So I think that's important. But in an era like the one we're in today, I don't believe that that should be the criteria that we use to decide whether or not how we choose a president. I believe it's important for us to be lifted up rhetorically. I believe it's important for us to people talk to us about ideals. But I think that one thing that we did in 2004, in 2000 rather, and to some degree in 2004, is to a too large a degree, Americans voted viscerally. Makes us feel safe. He makes us feel good. I want to have a beer with him. That type of decision-making, I think, has to give way to a more intellectual sense about who's got the foundation to be able to lead us in these very perilous and difficult times. And I think that if you scrape away everything, it is hard not to see that Hillary Clinton is the more qualified of the two. And I'll give you, and let me put it in the context. Let me put it in the context of the controversy, if it was one, about the Bosnia trip. You know, she remembered wrong, or as Roger Clemens said, she misremembered. Or what was right? Yeah, Roger Clemens, I misremembered. But remember what we're talking about. We're talking about where she was in 1996. She was on an international mission to Bosnia. Barack Obama might have been doing some very important things at the law firm he was at, but look at the difference in just the experiences that they've had. Let's assume for a moment that, okay, there was sniper fire in the hills of Bosnia, not on Hillary. Thank God. Still, think about the frame of reference that someone has when she's traveled to dozens of countries, where she's been involved in White House negotiations, when she's been involved in the things that she has. I think that that is a very important dividing line between the two candidates, and that's one of the reasons, if not that she's my senator and I like her very much, that I'm supporting Hillary, and I think that we all should. Now, I understand there are buses going to Pennsylvania. Whether you're supporting Barack, whether you're supporting Hillary, this is a chance for us, this long season is a chance for us to all stay involved in, longer, and be more involved. I would encourage people to take this seriously. And plus, it's a lot of fun. This is a really fun campaign. People are involved in places that never work. That being said, let me conclude with a little bit about what my plans are. I'm running for re-election to Congress this year. So I would encourage you to tell all your friends and neighbors in the 9th Congressional District. And I'm thinking very seriously about running for mayor again. I believe even more so now than I did when I ran in 2005 that, that we are in this moment in New York City politics where, to some degree, we've seen a change.